Man, there's a lot of mother flipping in this movie. That just sounds weird. I'm sorry, I don't cuss. So the Hitman's Bodyguard is about this hitman that's being transferred to this courthouse to testify against this really bad guy played by Gary Oldman. And honestly, I didn't even realize Gary Oldman was in this movie until the opening credits ran, and I was really surprised to see his name. However, he's not really in the movie that much. On the way to the courthouse, Samuel L. Jackson gets attacked, and so once he makes it out of there, they enlist the help of this bodyguard played by Reynolds, and his job is to basically get Samuel L. Jackson to this courthouse safely. So this movie's an action comedy. That doesn't always work out well for a movie. However, the comedy side of this was actually pretty decent. In fact, the theater just busted out laughing a lot of the times, and I thought the jokes were pretty good as well. Not all the time, of course, but there was a pretty decent amount of jokes that actually worked for me. And not only that, there was actually more action in this movie than I expected. And I was honestly fine with that because I found the action to be pretty interesting. Now let's move on to the performances. Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson are the main leads of this movie, and they basically act as themselves. So it's basically watching a movie that's like Deadpool and Nick Fury. And so, I mean, they're pretty entertaining to watch, and they have a pretty decent chemistry where they go back and forth with each other. However, Gary Oldman, he plays as the main big bad guy. I never really personally felt him threatening, but that may be because of his accent. His accent really did not work for me. In fact, I found it kind of weird and drew a lot from his performance because I just really didn't care for him or his character, and I really like Gary Oldman. Thankfully, he's not really in the movie a whole lot, so he doesn't really bring it down that much. And unfortunately, but kind of expected, this movie doesn't really bring a whole lot new to the table. In fact, you pretty much know what's going to happen as things are going along, and nothing really comes off as surprising even when they're supposed to. So then let's go into the things that I found odd, and there's actually a decent amount of things. Like, the movie goes back and forth between really bloody and not so bloody at all, and it's almost like it's trying to balance or figure out what it wants to be, because it's like rated R, PG-13, and they just kind of put the two versions together. But obviously it's going to be rated R because of the rated R portions, but I really didn't understand that. And then there's this weird lighting where there's a bunch of glare in the scenery and on the faces sometimes, and it just looks really odd and kind of pulls you out of the movie. And whenever they use special effects for like the helicopter and fire, they really don't look realistic at all, especially the helicopter. Like, the first time I saw the helicopter, I'm like, did that look as bad as I think it did? Because it goes by really quickly, and then you see it again, it's like, yeah, that looks as bad as I thought it did. So I'm going to give The Hitman's Bodyguard a 6 out of 9. This movie may have some technical difficulties with it, but it pulls off the action and it pulls off the comedy. And that's the main reason you're going to be going to see this movie, because it's an action comedy. And it kept me entertained. This movie is currently sitting at 39% on Rotten Tomatoes with an average rating of 5.1. So, I mean, it's not great, but I honestly think most people are going to enjoy this movie for what it is. So thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel to see more content like this. And remember, no movie is a perfect 10 out of 10. God bless you all.